That helps.
No worries.
Yay, we're live, guys.
Okay, we're live
Woo! All right, let's make sure.
We're live now. That's live. It's live now. So she's gonna start. It gets a little bit blurry. It's a little blur setting set up. Yeah, I do. I think it'll figure itself out. If you want to try to correct it, but you'll get in the camera, it will focus on you instead of. Hello, hey audience. Well, so it looks like on a Sunday night we had a lot more people come to the live stream than we had to the live, and my sister is helping me out here. So first, what we always like to do is hold space for our lovely host, Muddy Water. And what I wanted to say about Muddy Water is they very much noticed that as a first-time author, I did not know what I was doing, so I was open to anything that they could give me, and I actually let them know that my book was launching in October. And they said, we would love to help you out, but the only availability we have is in September. So funny enough, I did not have much of a choice for the date. So it might seem like I did. This is the fall equinox, but that was quite accidental. And I kind of just leaned into it, even though my book doesn't launch until October 7th, because of that idea that, the transition is happening all the time. So we do that a lot. We say it's on the day, it should be on October 7th, or even the fall equinox should be October 22nd. But the transition is in you all the time, and that's a lot about what I'm writing about in You Are Not Broken. So you will all find out about how I came into this journey, how I started writing the book, and then developed an approach to help people organize what we call inner work. And a lot of people always asking, trying to figure out what is this work, do the work, how do I do this work? And I think that's kind of what this book helps a lot out, is recognizing that the biggest part of inner work is about taking the information. And so for those of you listening, or if you came in person, if you came live, it's so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, because I don't think we even know quite yet what you're doing, what you're planting. What I'm going to actually take notice of, which I forgot to do because I was dealing with the technical difficulties, is also that there are little invitations. So I'm just going to walk through here and pass this around for you guys. There are little invitations. I will give them first to this gentleman. Take one, pass it around. These are little quotes that I brought for you this evening. Again, to just help all of us recognize that you don't know what you're quite here for. You're here for the book launch event. You're here because you know me, but primarily, this is what I do for a living. You're here for you, and it's up to you to figure out how that goes. I didn't really know, like I told you, I don't know how to do a book launch, but I'm finding that there are all these little classrooms that I'm walking into lately, and I'm always learning something new. I'm learning something about myself. So I thought about how I wasn't going to prepare for this, and I was just going to let things come to my mind. And in my mind, I was thinking, okay, how many people have invited me into their lives over the past 20 years? And obviously that's an impossible number to count, but it's close to 2,000 lives. And beautiful as it is, it also was hard for me to focus on my life. So some of the things that you'll learn about in this book is about the wrong tools that I was using, which is suppressing my emotions, repressing my memory, dissociating from my body, and recognizing that sometimes this is about getting my traumas to be classrooms, other people's traumas to be classrooms, but really it's about helping everybody stop using the wrong tools. Suppression, repression, dissociation. And so I think that not so much that I have the tools in this book, but these are the tools of my profession and they're yours too. And I want to democratize mental health because it should be beyond going to a therapy session, beyond having coverage for a therapy session, but it should just be planted into your minds. And the transition is you all the time and the tools are yours to take up. So the last thing I will say before I get into it is, again, a little meandering in my mind about a former patient, because as I, undo repression, I remember that inside of therapy sessions, sometimes what happens to a therapist is they have counter transference, which means something is coming up for the patient that is very relevant to them. And I remember about 3 years ago, a patient that I had, a book that I'm reading right now called What Are You Going Through? This reminded me of her. It's a fiction book, actually. And the author kind of meanders around the point, what are you going through? She's trying to write about what she's going through and all these little side storylines. And I was like, oh, Melinda, that sounds familiar. She tells a story about a woman who has a 50% chance of living if she undergoes cancer treatment. And I had a patient about 3 years ago with that situation. Her family members wanted her to come see me, but she didn't want treatment. And we talked the first 6 weeks about that not wanting to waste her time on non-living when there was only a 50% chance of living. Ultimately, we started to notice that she was more afraid in the end of just sitting there, not trying the option and realizing she wasn't trying the option, than trying the option and wasting her time. So we began our work, and she survived. After 6 months of inner work, she came to me with the, results that she was surviving, and she was feeling very mixed up. She was saying to me, this feels really anticlimactic. I did all this work thinking I was going to die, and now I'm going to live. And I remembered what we talked about, that she had done all this work to accept that so much of her life might be over. And now she was going to have to do the work to live in the life that she had. And that's what I'm experiencing today. I think ultimately that's what a lot of people experience. You do the inner work to stop denying that's happening with you in your life, stop inauthentic living, and then you have to face doing the work and continuing to do the work to live in that new authenticity. So I'm not going to say too much more. I'm going to just give you a sneak peek. First, we'll start off with a dedication. We can both hide from and face fears while writing and reading human stories. What happened while hiding deep inside my own fears and also fighting them with words on a page was an awakening. My hope is that this is going to seem familiar to you and therefore it is dedicated to the potential of this. I knew I had to face the fear that with all the mistakes I made, I had missed my chance at a truly happy life. As I was writing, I wondered how many of you are out there afraid of this. I'm certain that a part of writing and reading is to feel less away. This is for everyone who has lost, failed, or missed something and realized it is most profoundly an unfaced part of you that is the most. Writing is for both the writer and the reader. There is little separation, and the end is never that, but a beginning and an invitation to look at life differently. Dedicate yourself to inner work in whatever way you can, and it becomes the truth of life's purpose. Inner work is for facing feeling afraid of who you are, how you have felt and still are feeling, and accepting that this fear is universal. We are all afraid of what we hold inside. You may go inside alone, but if we all equally need this, what kind of alone are we afraid of besides our own fearful ideas? There is a way to go inside, repair, and heal. You can choose what to be and call it your job, or you can choose who to be and call it your responsibility. Do not fear opening too much, not enough, or failing somehow. I invite you to believe that inner work cannot be failed. Let us not give up in our repairs. To try is to grow. This book is a dedication to beginning inner work. We all need tools for repairing ourselves back to wholeness. Will you begin your journey? So I want to take a pause right now. Some of you may have noticed in the invitation that I focus on, clearing the shock out of doing and making a space for being. And when you do that, like I do in the book and like I'm trying to do in my life, and some of you may know we do in our sessions, you have to prepare. You have to prepare to arrive in being. So I'm going to do a little tweak of what I do in sessions sometimes, which is use more than just talking and what we call a bottom-up approach. So you're trying to access the other ways of experiencing your life besides just like, I know what my problem is. Can we sit here and talk about it and fix it? One of those ways is prepare to listen. Okay? So I'm going to use my Tibetan bowl, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the sound. And what I ask or invite you to all do is listen until you can't hear or feel the vibration anymore. And not to control your experience, but I want to encourage you to notice that you might question if that's even happening. That you might be able to hold on to the vibration and the listening, even if you're not quite sure, has it stopped yet? That's the kind of listening that we're going to do today. So I'm going to use this experiential to help you access that kind of listening. Ready? Just going to do it one more time. Notice the difference between your listening to my voice and your listening and waiting for that sound to complete itself. Another thing that I would just invite you to do is to take a look at your own hands. And what you may first notice is your mind is like, wow, they're really wrinkled. Or, wow, they're so white and pale. They're dry, they're cracked. And now what I invite you to do is look at them with deeper understanding. Do they look like your mother's hands? Do they look like your father's? Can you remember why the calluses are risen up on the inner palms? Can you remember the tools that they picked up to do something yesterday, today? Can you remember the handlebars that they gripped when you were a little kid? Can you remember the way they gripped a swing set? Can you remember the dirt that they dug in? These are simple exercises that inspire what we're trying to do today. And what you have the opportunity to do all the time in your life is go deeper. The tools are in you, and the bad tools need to stop being used. Just as a reminder, that's repression, suppression, and dissociation. Okay, another sneak peek inside the book. Introduction. I never meant to die. I never meant to die and come back to life. I was just trying to find myself. Suddenly, I was falling, and when I hit the pavement, my teeth shattered. But somehow there was more falling to do. I plummeted down through an abyss. It was not a lighted tunnel sort of dying, and a path to a darker kind of death.
I felt my body leaving me, but more horribly, I heard people suffering in between life and death, and I was aware my soul was one of them. For a moment, I was in true death darkness. It marked me, but I survived. Then I awoke to ambulance sirens. My clothes were lifted, and I felt I was exposed but also held in someone's arms on a city street sidewalk. Me and my anonymous someone were waiting to get things fixed. I didn't know how many things were broken. My tongue was the only thing moving, and I felt the space where my teeth had been. The blood was a meal held inside my mouth, and it dripped down my youthful body, aging it with every drop, like life still leaving me. They told me I was alive and an ambulance was coming. I was a month from being 19 years old and afraid. Would I ever come back to life with my teeth to hold my face and the smile that had been so familiar to me? If there was no smile to wear, what would happen to hide the shame of my choices? Exactly how broken was I? I felt a part of me had died and the light inside me was out somehow, but it also felt familiar. Somewhere, something inside remembered this feeling from before now. This fragmented me on the pavement felt familiar. But the shame of the moment was eclipsing it as a memory, and I was forced into the present day nightmare. In that moment, I knew that even a quadruply broken heart was not an excuse for false bravado, and this broken me was all my fault. I followed a band and did too many drugs. I could not pretend it was some path to freedom. It was a broken attempt at escaping myself. I waited for the ambulance to scoop me up and bring me to the fixing place, the hospital. I thought at 19 years old, this was my first confrontation with brokenness. But the truth was, I had let myself submerge the nightmares of my memory before. Below the surface were memories, and my 19-year-old landscape was like icebergs against a backdrop of blue skies. It all seems like a picturesque scene when you can't see the dark waters below. Like Sleeping Beauty, I cast a spell on it all and fell asleep to it. The younger me supposed that nearly dying was just a nightmare I had to keep down below. So I restricted my sleep and stood watch over my body in the night. Waking up into a nightmarish reality would never happen again to me if I could help it. I never meant to die, did I? The next time I woke up into a nightmare of death, I was 40 years old and had fallen asleep, watching my mother in her own decline toward the end of her life. She was leaving the bed like a whisper. I was on watch for exactly this reason, to block her from going to the bathroom on her own. But I fell dead asleep, and I felt alarm everywhere. Mine had been a body that had not slept fully in years. Something kept it on guard always. I was a machine of survival mode living, so why now was the machine malfunctioning and failing at the decades of mandated watchfulness? The why now was another whisper in the room. My mother was whittled down to 70 pounds, and I guess I was finally at the end of exhaustion from looking at all the life leaving her body, and I slept instead of my usual on guard stance. I thought my body was well programmed for vigilance and used to this kind of drain. I had struggled to keep on my own weight through the years, trapped in a body that was riddled by irritation when it tried to digest food. I only nourished it to get by and survive my life, but I did not thrive inside it. Seeing her frailty was different than seeing mine. I was shocked to see her slipping away on her own, like a dream or a horror. I wasn't sure anymore. Was that really her? Was I dreaming or watching her ghost, and she was already gone? Pancreatic cancer had taken hold, and she could not walk on her own at that point. As I remembered this, my own yelp at the sight of her fully woke me. It startled my father awake too. Neither one of us knew how to stay fully awake through this. To say we were tired from the death watch would be an understatement. We were each on separate islands of grief, relentlessly swimming to shore yet sinking midway with effort. He swooped in, and I watched their bodies make a three-legged race-like version of a trip to the bathroom. At the toilet, I watched my father be the deep-throated rescuer my mother used to tell me stories about. His voice was low and gentle, just like my mom said it was in all her stories of when they first met. Unexpectedly, I had tears in my eyes, and realization bloomed loudly in my head. Where is my rescuer? Then some stronger version of darkness came through as truth. You are not part of this. You will never be rescued if you don't wake up. With that, I suddenly realized how long I had been on the outside of the story looking in, trapped in darkness, trying to protect light, but not really feeling it there inside of me. There was another narrative underneath this skin I was wearing. I won't ever know why it was right then 4 decades of my real story would come back to me. The memories came back, evidence I had felt bad about myself for a long time. I was open to remembering, and it came back. Childhood molestation, sexual intrusion, and being manipulated. The loneliness my family never knew, as they all lived lives that started without me and left me behind unknowingly. It all flooded me. We must be left, discarded, or disappointed in some way by someone we love, often more than once. Then, profoundly, it was that last time. Sometimes it's like a straw that breaks the camel's back, a final loss, and we come to face ourselves. That is what I've come to realize. Sometimes we miss out on conversations, opportunities, and even experience losses, not as punishment, but as invitations. What we miss in the outer world, either connections, closure, or resolutions, often becomes the very ground on which inner work begins. These moments create space for us to turn inward, to have a conversation with ourselves that we once sought to have with others. Through that inner dialogue, healing and clarity begin. These conversations are aching inside us to be had. They are in many ways petulant and demanding, calling you to do the inner work to reach them on your own. Loss has become a telescope down on my life and not up to the stars. So many memories of the other narrative, the one that was only mine alone, came back. Instead of the stars, I saw the reality of the earth I lived on, and everything was different. It would feel like loss initially, and I'd be angry my mother was not emotionally available in life or in death to talk to me about it all. But I would come to own that if I had done the inner work, I would have already been talking, and that was on me. So I looked in the telescope and realized this was a true tool for seeing things. I would need more tools for seeing things after this, many more. The tools will be written about here, the conversations that we could have often don't occur. The conversations with the perfect parent, sibling, partner, or fantasy caring adult who is always there is a bit of a fairy tale for so many of us. The best gift we can give are missed conversations and the severed connections and unfinished emotional wounds with others is the inner work and conversations we need to have with ourselves. I looked at my mother's role in my life, both my parents' roles, and realized there are all sorts of ways to be a parent. None of them can be good or bad. I imagined the inner work they missed out on that I was about to possibly get a crack at and grieved. I felt all the generations of my family with me in what I now held in my hands, the chance to do inner work. I won't know what they did with their inner worlds, but I could feel it. I needed to do my own work. When you look at the spectrum of opportunity we have as adults to do inner work before entering any relationship that is meant to be foundational and secure, it's very rare there is an open gap of time to do inner work. We don't get tools to do inner work in school and come out prepared. We have to find them. I found them through facing things. Everyone finds the tools they need through facing things. The book I write is more about organizing these tools so you see yourself finding them and keep moving ahead with what works. What flooded me that day was the fragmented sensations of feeling responsible for the ways others felt. I remembered I was too sensitive and open to what people said, and I felt left behind frequently. I had the feelings as memories and no facts to go on. I remembered I could never hold back what I felt, and it was a bad thing to be open, but I was open, and my hope got crushed frequently. I don't know why it was sharp clarity right then and not so many other times. Other traumas started coming back, ones that snuffed out this core childhood trauma, but also reflected the same pattern. It sliced through my mind. You don't have to protect them or anyone from this anymore. Least of all yourself. But I was still scared and unbelieving. I needed a way to see the truth of my own story when everything else was false and fragmented. Fear had stopped me too many times. I needed to see my story now and heal the way it had been making me feel and act so I could find the way I wanted to feel and act again. I'm going to take a little bit of a break to just also let you guys visit the back table. I have a little bit of a gift for everybody today. What came out from this book is just the need to make inner work available to people. So I have a Substack subscription, and I have an author's website with a platform for courses. And I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Patreon, but I would love for you guys to visit the author's website and the Patreon site to give me an idea of what courses could be of interest to you, because that's kind of another thing that I'm learning is that a lot of people can pick up something and read or watch something on YouTube, but then after that, it's like, where do you go to stay in that classroom and learn from your own experience and other people trying to change and grow? What I want to say as a side note to that, and I don't want to scare anybody or anything, but the people in my field and the mental health profession, it's kind of temporary, guys. It's not always going to be stable. The resources to maintain the professionals in this field and the way it's protected and the way it's delivered through telehealth are really at risk every day. We learned that, in the pandemic. We learn that every day when certain things get cut and slashed. So I really want you to encourage you to understand giving to self-help, exploring self-help, funding self-help a little bit, because that may be the wave of the future, that we have to really empower and take our mental health seriously. And it's not always going to be covered, and it's not always going to be supported, that we get professionals to stay in the field with this high degree of specialization and being trauma informed. So then take a little break. Want you all to encourage you to, kind of look back there, see if you want to buy, see if you don't. The primary thing I would love for you to do is see if you want to write down a question, because I know that can be hard to come here and just ask a question in front of everybody. So I thought possibly there's a piece of paper back there. If you want to put down a question, or if you want to put down a question and fold it over, I would love to answer some questions, and do so in this public way, even if you don't want to ask it in a public way, if that makes sense. Guys, I'm going to take a little bit of a pause, and my sister's giving me a signal.
You can answer anything that shows up in the chat room.
Oh, are there questions?
Not yet.
Not yet? Mimi, are you going to do that? Are you going to ask?
I'll
Yeah, put it in the chat. So I'll take them, I know this is still recorded and everything, but, we're real here. Explaining, it's just me explaining. So you don't have to go back there and purchase if you don't want to, because it's already on Amazon, and that's fine. But if you did want a book right now, and if you wanted me to sign it or put a note to you in it, you can use the QR codes back there. I have been experiencing a little wonkiness with them. So if you don't have PayPal on your phone, it might not work, which is fine. You can also chat me up anytime through the author's website if you want me to sign it when I see you in book group, if you want me to sign it when I see you in session, if you want me to meet you for a hike and sign it, that's fine with me. Okay? So does anybody want to take a pause to go to the bathroom or anything like that, or get a drink from Loretta? Because I'll leave about 2 or 3 minutes to just take a break and do that. Awesome. I think what I'm going to do is give you thank you so much.
Absolutely. No, I wouldn't miss this. Absolutely. I'm sorry, it's a few minutes late. I got lost.
No, a lot of people switched over to live, and I had a feeling that was going to happen on Sunday, but I so appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I'm going to read more from the Substack, section too. I need you guys all really good for something that hasn't been published to a larger public. It's just for
Very
you
nice.
guys.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, good. I mean, honestly, I've never before I some type of view. I never read anything like that It
Yeah, I
is.
mean, some of it's not hard for me.
Oh,
Coaching and stuff like that, but yeah, it's really good. I actually started to realize I could get news through it in a better way. Yeah. Assassination thing.
Oh,
That was really like intimidating me, and then I went on to Substack and was intelligent stuff on it, and I was like,
it was so
I actually watched some
Had it-
times to describe how this works. AI.
I had it. When it comes to a spot.
Yeah, go ahead, in the back, she's right over there. I think there's also one in the back.
And I'll definitely get a book. Because I think they will Amazon.
Yes, of course.
Uh,
Definitely, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I definitely.
Oh my God, that's super expensive. I didn't realize I was at Northern. I mean, see all over the place. It's like, oh, TikTok, I'm used to it. On that piece of paper, on the clipboard, yeah. But you could also take a pad and write it on a separate piece of paper. And if you want to walk away with that pad, that's fine. She looks like. Oh.
Which is very rare. So we had an eclipse on September 7th. We're now an eclipse day on Sunday, September 21st. That first eclipse of the month was about getting clear about what you want to let go of. Today's eclipse is about sealing the deal. So first we bless and release, and then we bring in the light, mental clarity, higher desires, really clear about what we want to receive and offer for the rest of 2025 and beyond. Super powerful day. In addition to an eclipse on this Sunday, it is also the new moon in Virgo. New moon is obviously starts. It's about clarity. It's about declarations and vision.
You can get one of these barcodes should work. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Anthony,
You gotta operate over there.
oh my God, I can't.
other check it once. Brian had me read it today.
Oh, really?
At first I thought it would get everybody lost. So I thought somebody was gonna be there, usually somebody's there who like knows. But, Jeff had COVID, he was there, and Tanya wasn't there, and Christian was there, so I didn't figure I wasn't gonna go,
You're here.
Here, so that means I got my way out.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just
Oh, really? He called in sick or?
No, I think he had this. Down rarely ever. I thought Philadelphia, and somebody else said North Carolina.
Yeah. I'm gonna step out quietly at some point.
Yeah, no
I gotta
problem.
go lead an AA business event.
Oh my gosh, you're double whammying it tonight.
Yes, I am, so thank you. I had some close calls. I was there. I was there until 6 a.m. Yeah.
Oh, I love how these questions. I think this is still going.
You still do it? You still?
Okay. What, we have any questions from the chat, Mimi?
do, go ahead.
One. Okay, what is it?
They asked how you feel about the book you read.
How do I feel about the book I wrote?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's very similar. There's another question. What is the important message that led you to the title of the book? Which actually answers that question from the chat as well. So this is the book, okay? And you will notice the similarity. So, you know, the title was really a message to myself. I was just writing this book to myself. And if you are kind enough to enter the subscription, Holding Space, Melinda's opponent on Substack, you'll see one of the posts is about my struggle looking in the mirror very frequently. You are not broken. You are broken. You're not broken. And when I was a little girl, I was obsessed with the idea that the Wicked Witch in Snow White could look into the mirror and get a message. I knew immediately, and I was like this as a little kid, that I didn't want that non-truthful message. I wanted the real one. The reason why I put my eyes on the book is kind of funny. I actually just wanted eyes on the book, and I was going back and forth with the designer, just kind of like, well, I don't want to pay for the image that, you know, would be these like kind of captivating eyes. So what do I do? And he was like, well, you send me a picture of your own eyes. So I did, and when he sent me back the cover, I was like, oh no, like that looks way too much like me. And then I had this really interesting mirror moment. It was like, if you can't write a book with "You Are Not Broken" and face your own face on the cover of the book, and you're asking everybody to believe you that they're not broken, then like, what are you doing? So I kept these eyes on the book, and the sadness in them is real, but also the heart in front of those eyes is real too. I think that's the audacity of hope. You know, it's bold. You have to keep looking for it, even when you are actually hearing thoughts that you're broken. So that's my answer to that question. Let's see if there's any other. Are there anything we can all start doing and on the road to healing. Yes, I know this is going to be annoying to hear, but you can write. I write every morning now, and I do 4 things profoundly, but there's a 5th and a 6th. I say, what would you have me know about my fears and anxieties? What would you have me know about my angers and resentments? What would you have me know about the pressures I'm putting on myself? And lastly, what would you have me know about the one thing that would change your life if you got rid of it? And then I put my hand on my forehead, and then I actually hold my forehead. I tip my head forward, and I say, okay, sweetheart. Okay. And I feel the clear out, and I push my forehead back up, and I acknowledge that I still have the same messy life that I had before, but that starting the day with that kind of care is like a re-parenting. And like I said before, it's you don't get the perfect environment when you're growing up. Nobody does. It's not real that you would. I have parents in therapy that suffer that very concept, that they fail somehow or they are failing somehow, and that profoundly sometimes blocks them from their inner work, actually. So that I would say the one thing that I've learned is write every day. And if you don't think you can do it for the rest of your life, do it for 30 days and see where you get. Because profoundly, you probably haven't been taking care of meeting with that inner world, and you will really learn something. As a special treat for those of you who are here tonight, and I know we have to be mindful of the generosity here, I made you guys something very special. Normally, when I post to Holding Space Melinda's a Poem, which is also on Spotify as Enya, Everyone Needs You Always, which is a company I started about 2 years ago to provide all this for free. Several people in my life passed away, and I thought to myself, I didn't have the connections I wanted to with them, but I could use that money to start a company, do this podcast for free, not worrying about the money that it makes, do the Substack subscription, write the book, and this latest, I guess, episode from Substack is just for you guys who are coming tonight. Let's see if this ridiculous phone has been broken at all. I don't know if I can get at it. Darn it. Let's see if I can get at it. There we go. Okay. So this is called Broken Toes, Blacked Out Screens, and Self-Love. Welcome to Earth School and Being Human University. I don't know if it's really going to let me open it. See if I can text it to myself if that's a way I can open it. Sorry about this, guys.
On a live stream.
Yeah, well, the black screen is correct. That's what's been happening with my phone lately. Okay, let's see if I send that to myself. Yay! Hello. That's my voice. Okay. Broken Toes, Blacked Out Screens, and Self-Love. Welcome to Earth School and Being Human University. Now, the phases of healing and the Toolbox Approach, which I introduce in the book, help you enter a classroom of understanding that is a healing process. We don't stop or graduate. We become ourselves and heal brokenness mentality. And just to kind of show you the kind of progress, I guess, from here to last night. I start with an anecdote. I woke up in the middle of the night and smashed my 2 outermost toes of my dominant right foot hard against a storage chest of clothes. I broke them. I knew they were broken, but I suppressed the anxiety and fear and dissociated the feeling by walking slightly differently, using an ice pack, taking 2 ibuprofens, and lulling myself back to rest with rainstorm sounds and my foot propped up. I woke again and resumed my normal routine, adding the suppression dissociation routine again on top of that. Did yoga and walking with bound toes, meditation and journaling. I went to my job as a mental health trauma therapist and encouraged others to use the new tools I had for unraveling the former bad ones, suppressing emotion, repressing painful experiences, and dissociating from the body's way of remembering and holding it all. The next day, the pain was worse. And while putting on hiking boots, the pain triggered me to drop my phone. The screen started to glitch. I ignored it. It got worse. 5 days later, the screen started going dark completely. I had to take my walks with nothing but myself. I walked right into an Earth classroom. Being here on Earth means you have to face the lessons offered by having a life and a body, pain and memory, and days that always have the same amount of time inside them. You can't rush knowing yourself and who you are going to be. I walked into Human Being University over the next 2 weeks, graduating from Earth School. This has all happened before. Other times it took 18 years, then 35, then 40 to address the origin of the pain and rewind the use of the bad tools. This time it took 2 weeks. That's what progress looks like. I'm still human, walking the school hallways, graduating to the steps of university, and that's what I love about myself now. That self-love should be gooey meditations and throwing peace signs is not what I'm experiencing. I love facing myself, the inner work, feeling the challenge that gets me to a place where I don't care what is not likable. I know it's there. I trust I will learn from it, and you will learn from yours. I love that in me. I love that in life. The classrooms are everywhere. Revealing the broken narratives we carry is the main focus of the narrative healing phase of the Toolbox Approach. It is the highlight of my first book, You Are Not Broken, Break Free from the Fixing Yourself mindset with the Toolbox Approach. This kind of inner work can naturally lead to a need to enter the other phases of healing, the reprocessing healing phase and the relational healing phase. I use what I'm reading from right now, the Holding Space subscription, for future readers of the book to continue their inner work before I can write another book and another book and another book. I think you get the point. For now, to support your classroom experience, I'm rolling out the tools from the other phases of healing and also asking you to visit the Patreon courses page so I can learn what classrooms we can develop for you through guided self-courses, and I would like to do a coaching and community session as well. But right now, I'm going to talk to you about reprocessing hard things for self-love. My patient messaged me in their patient portal between sessions, how do I get rid of this memory? How do I get rid of this memory I'm having? I can't let it go and I can't change it. I don't know what to do. It's been too long. Sorry, this technology is messing me up. I'm so angry. And I talked to him about the butterfly tapping technique with the Toolbox Approach. When we experience shame, rejection, abandonment, betrayal, boundary violations, or non-belonging, our nervous system often encodes a distorted story, one that tries to protect us by keeping us stuck in a loop of fear or self-blame. But healing is possible. Through gentle reprocessing, we can access a more truthful narrative, a loving narrative. There are modified versions of EMDR that use this butterfly tapping technique to gently calm the nervous system and that hidden story of shame, rejection, abandonment, betrayal, boundary violation, or non-belonging, and tap you into a more truthful narrative. This narrative won't play out as much in as much entirety, and it won't implant itself in something more severe and dangerous for the future. Sorry guys, this is... So basically the butterfly tapping technique is just placing your hands over your heart like this. And I use it a lot in session. We just tap back and forth. And I ask the person to just tune me out and feel that inner calm. what we do is we access the memory without them trying to tell the story to me as much, and it's very, very profound for them seeing the classroom part of what they're trying to get through. When you pressure yourself to tell another person, when you pressure yourself to make some type of sense of it, you miss the hidden wisdom of what your experience is trying to tell you. So basically what I guide people to do once the tapping is complete is we go back through the memory, and they watch it like a film. It's not about forcing anything, it's about inviting the body to feel safe through the tapping. We access what they felt in that moment, what they needed that they didn't receive, what part of them took on blame, shame, or fear. And as you tap, you let your body and your mind replay the event, but this time allow your wiser, present self to witness it. You may notice a shift in perspective, a new insight, a release of emotion. And processing is not reliving, it's re-seeing, allowing compassion and clarity to come through. And what happens is there's like a new truth that emerges, one that honors your experience without defining you by it. I help them ask, what is the truth about me that shame tried to hide? What would self-compassion say to the part of me that was hurt? What boundary or belief can I reclaim now? That patient experience, I'll share it with you. And as a side note, the patients that I work with start to use this on their own beyond what is modeled and experienced in session. It's their tool, they take it with them, they make it their own. But as an example, the individual above went back to a high school memory when a social ostracizing bully used to whisper things to a crowd of people and wait for him to get closer, right within earshot, and then say, "That's him." My patient was guided through the bilateral stimulation of the butterfly technique and watched himself freeze, say nothing, and then notice not anger like he thought, but sadness. He needed someone in the crowd or something safe inside himself that he didn't have at that age. He could feel that he was blaming himself, but suddenly that was wrong because he could remember himself as he is now. He's been talking in therapy. Sorry, guys. Past what he never thought possible, trusting that just because he couldn't hold his last job, it didn't mean he was unmotivated or undereducated. I guided him out of the butterfly technique after only 45 seconds. I was watching his face, and so I guided him towards a self-hug and told him he may feel tears even if he doesn't have them. And when he was hugging himself, I asked him to feel it from the outside and then feel it from the inside. So feel the muscles getting a release. And then I even asked him to hear it as he moved his hand over the fabric. I was watching his face, so when I guided him to the self-hug, I told him he might feel the tears even if he doesn't have them. I told him his former self, I saw it on his face, and it seemed like it wanted to release tears, and we just held space for that. He told me he had some mood swings in the beginning of high school, possibly the beginning of a mental illness called bipolar disorder. He's sure, people whispered, but now he's sure it was mostly out of concern and not knowing what to do, and it was just this one person who manipulated it all to feel different to him. He realized how long he held on to. I'm so dumb, and there's nothing I can really do about it. I can't say anything when I feel this way. And then he realized it was the past. Then he sought to change that. His affirmations started to become right in front of my eyes. I was never stupid. I was going through a lot. I was needing to ask for help, and I didn't know how to put it into words back then. He started to say, I didn't deserve that targeting, and didn't understand that behavior of targeting is just as problematic as my issues in a different way. And most profoundly, he said, not knowing about my book, I'm not broken. I'm healing this, and I don't want to be angry that I have to now do inner work. I like the idea, actually. moments like these are so much more frequent for me. And that's why I know, to answer your question, that when I titled this book, it kind of came through me and not to me. And I think that's what's going to happen most of the time when you do inner work. It's just all this profound wisdom comes through you. You heal backwards past into generations in a way, and you understand things that happen to people in your life in a way that you never thought possible. So I thank you so much for coming. I thank you so much for taking this invitation. But most importantly, I want you to thank you, because there's probably something that you took away that you will feel more responsibility to follow inside of you. And that's what we want. Thanks, everybody.
That was beautiful, meaningful, and I'm taking a lot away.
Well, good. Loretta, thank you so much for your space. I so appreciate your kindness. Got a lot of closed doors, so I appreciate your open one.
It was wonderful. I'm so glad we did.
All right. Now I gotta find out how to end stream.
I've been there before.
Yeah,
with the
oh my
technology.
God.
Holy mackerel.
And I'm like,